Greetings, YouTube. I have some points in front of me that I'm going to cover in this video. I don't know what order, or hopefully just by the time it's over, I cover everything. But, I hear a lot every day from a variety of people. It is no secret that the irony that I have a MCC YouTube channel is that when it started out of really just a social experiment that was a joke. I had told myself I was going to quit the game. And I was by no means an in-game player. In fact, I was very much an average player, and maybe in some I still am. But I spent way too much time in the game, and everything just became like Groundhog Day, where I ran the same maps in Alliance Quest, had the same champs. It took a long time for me, especially back then, to get a chance to open a 4-star crystal or a 5-star crystal, especially, of course. And I would never get the champion that I needed or wanted, and then I would go back to the hamster wheel of grinding for resources. And I didn't even really spend money on the game much back then. Maybe I would say less than $300 a year, which is still a lot of money, but compared to what I'm able to spend now because of my YouTube channel, it's a joke. I spent $300 on the spring cleaning event in one day. But to be honest, I feel like in-game player burnout is inevitable, and I have so much respect for what Seaton does. I don't think it's fair for people to compare my YouTube channel to his, because I don't think my channel, I don't think my voice, I don't think my skill level, I don't think my humor will ever be in the same realm as his. He inspired me to start a YouTube channel because I watched him, and still do, every day, and had so much admiration for what he did that it felt like I was watching the greatest professional broadcaster play the game that I loved. And it didn't hurt that I didn't know really anybody who had a British accent, and also thought that was super cool, and still do, to be honest. It's always nice to see somebody who has such a sick accent. But regardless, in my time playing this game, with all the progression I've made on my channel, if I didn't have this YouTube channel, and if I didn't have this opportunity to help the community that I love, I would have quit a long time ago. Because it is so easy to be burnt out. And what I've heard from people at the very end of this game right now is that the Act 7 beta is just a warning about how easy it is to be further burnout. Not just from the fights and the champions you need, but it's just not fun. It's not fun, and it's not exciting. One thing that's kept me going is the crystal opening commentary series, and even just like what I'm doing right now every 2 days of collecting hundreds of submissions for things like Rift rewards and giving people shout outs on a public platform. That's way more exciting to me than opening up a crystal right now, because I have most of the champions that I need. Of course, there are only a handful of champions that are going to be game changers anyway, even if I land on good champions in general. And it's just it's more fun for me to help you who doesn't have a YouTube channel, who can't reach a large audience, get your luck out there. That's what's brought me joy in the last year, is this crystal opening commentary series, and I really do enjoy putting your rewards opening up on my channel, commentating it, or just shouting you out for a screenshot of an early access bundle or whatever. It keeps the game going because it encourages people to open crystals and send luck my way. So it is a positive thing that I'm doing for Kabam, and I'm glad that I'm able to do that for them. But of course, I'm still going to be critical of offers. What I think needs to change in this game for players at the top, besides a serious improvement in rewards, especially in even things like the uncollected monthly quest. You compare the uncollected rewards now to what you get in the Glory Store changes of Alliance Quest, and it's an absolute joke. But Kabam is so freaking paranoid about the mastery trees and not giving people more chances for points and not giving people anything past level 60, that you just hit a wall. They need to come out like yesterday with what they said they are working on and have been working on for quite some time, and I have no reason to do anything besides believe them. And that is to have it to where you can easily, for X amount of units, switch between mastery tree setups, to where you don't have to reset your masteries every time. This is especially important for in-game players that do something like the Abyss and change up their mastery setup multiple times in one run. It's what other games do that they create, ironically, and yet they just haven't done it in MCOC, and that would help. Small thing, but every small thing helps. I do think players should at least get 5 more mastery points. I don't think that would break the game. And I don't think that would also be something that Kabam could look back and say, we think is unfair. I think if you go to level 65 and you add 5 more mastery points in, especially if it is tied to, say, Act 7, that's going to help. But the biggest thing that I get complaints about, and it's the biggest thing that I have guilt about, because it is of zero credit to myself that I have such a great 6-star roster, because it is 100% luck. I would never have been able to really do the Abyss, especially in the time that I did, without the 6-star Dr. Doom. I got this guy out of an early access bundle, and I popped him in the last batch of 5. And the odds of that happening were like 1 and never going to happen, and somehow it happened to my account. But there's no skill involved in that moment. It just came to my account. But most people who spent much more than I did on those crystals didn't get him. This is when he was the sub-featured champion. But 6 stars, which are the future of the game, and which Kabam is pushing, and I can guarantee you that as we look at my rank 3 Human Torch, the reason why things are starting to come down in price for Tier 2 Alphas and Tier 5 Basic is because we have these things called Tier 6 Basic and Tier 3 Alpha that we now know what they look like. This is the equivalent of when we had 5 stars and everybody's 5 stars were at rank 4, and we knew there were these things called Tier 5 Basic Callus, but we'd never seen them, and then they came out first with Alliance War rewards, and they were crazy expensive to just get fragments, basic catalyst fragments from deals. 4,500 used to be what they would charge, $100 for an Odin level of deal, and then of course we got our first major hands on them at the end of Act 5. But in the meantime, that's what Kabam is trying to progress to. But I've said this before in videos, and I'm going to say this again. Kabam, if your goal is to keep players interested because they want to take their 6 stars to rank 4 and eventually rank 5, I guess, that's just a fool's business model, because you have created a handful of champions to be so powerful as 5 stars at rank 565 that, yeah, a rank 4 6-star of that same champion might do the job a little bit quicker, but is it worth thousands of dollars of money to do it quicker? Heck no. You're only doing this for the prestige game of having the best roster, where you're always chasing a rainbow that I really feel like you get to the end and the rainbow just gets extended. But the other thing we've got to touch on when it comes to 6 stars is, you have so much trash in terms of the roster, and the best 5 stars that are older 5 stars, like Stark, Spidey, and Blade, like Quake, you don't get as 6 stars, right? And it's amazing to me that we even have a chance to get Omega Red as a 6-star, or Nick Fury as a 6-star, or Corvus or Ghost as 6 stars, or Domino as 6 stars, Warlock. But we don't have a 6-star Hyperion. We may get a 6-star Iceman soon, but that's probably going to be in some Star-Lord-like scenario where we have to buy featured calves to get the drop rates. We also, don't have someone like a 6-star Archangel, which I don't think would break the game at all. But point being, they've kept a lot of the best 5 stars from being 6 stars, just like they've kept the 2 best 4 stars, Wolverine and Scarlet Witch, from being 5 stars. And so the motivation just isn't there. The content is becoming unbelievably difficult, even for in-game players, because there are so many cash grab nodes that don't reward skill. They just reward the right roster and whether or not you're using quote-unquote unit man. And then Alliance Quest rewards are much better. Alliance War is still cost benefit. I got to tell you, if you're stressed out about this game and you're playing the top end Alliance War, I don't care that the flow node is allegedly being nerfed, although we'll see if that's still really, really tough. But I haven't done Alliance War in about a year, and I've loved myself and my own mental health way more since then, and I would never go back. I feel like it's like the genie from Aladdin being free. I just feel so much better about the game in Alliance Quest because Glory is so good. I love doing it because I get about half of a Tier 5 basic catalyst for free every week in Alliance Quest. And that is worth it to me for sure. And I'm not doing map 7. I'm not doing map 6. I'm doing one of the BGs in my alliance that does map 5. And that is, again, perfectly fine for me. So, Kabam, if you want to give these in-game players that have all these great rank-up materials like the Tier 5 class Catalyst that they got from 100% completing Abyss or even the completion of Abyss and 6-star Awakening gems, you're going to have to give them more access, and it can't be for thousands of dollars, to 6-star Nexus crystals. You're going to have to give them more control over the future of their account, and I believe they deserve it. They shouldn't have the RNG that comes from the Marvel Casino of Champions at this point for a 6-star basic crystal or a 6-star featured crystal. They should have more Nexus crystals, and it shouldn't just be when they 100% complete Act 6. That's just too rare of an opportunity. And let's just point this out too. Nexus crystals are not a perfect science. I showed you a picture about a week ago of a guy that had the worst day, maybe in MCOC history, where you're talking about a guy that spent thousands of dollars in units and certainly hours to 100% clear Act 6, and then it was like, hey, do you want a 6-star Venom Pool Kingpin or King Groot? That's your Nexus. Well, no matter what, I'm going to want to quit the game with those options. So, in-game player burnout right now is inevitable. Players need more mastery points. They need to be able to cycle between mastery trees with one click of an icon. And yeah, you'll pay some units, but it's worth it to not have to do the mind-numbing of resetting masteries, especially on something like an Abyss run. Players also need more control over their rosters. Nexus crystals need to become the norm, especially for in-game players with the 6-star variety. They don't just need to be cash grabs on special holidays, either like July 4th or Cyber Weekend. And the content's just becoming so difficult, too, because Kabam knows that they're in this catch-22 where they want everybody to get the best champions in terms of wanting them to try to get the best champions, but then when they get the best champions, they're costing them money in fights. So they've got to stack nodes 3 to 4 deep to where you're still going to get wrecked. It's just a business model that's hit its peak, let's be honest. And there are things that it needs to do to retain middle tier players and upper middle tier, and certainly for in-game, you've just got to throw them more of an incentive and more appreciation, because they're not just going to keep spending. They're going to leave, they're going to sell accounts, and maybe the only reason why they're going to stay is if they have something to build their roster on. And trust me, if Kabam's future goal is to be like, well, once they get used to 6 stars, that's when we'll bust out 7 stars. Goodbye, community. We lost so many great people, including YouTubers, when we went from 5 stars to 6 stars, because people just didn't feel like starting over. And now that you've burnt out so many people, if you start over with 7 stars, it's just going to be a joke. It's going to be a meme. The game is going to turn into that, and it's going to be sad, because so many of us, like myself, have spent over a presidential term in this game, over 4 years. So, I covered all the points in front of me. The bottom line is Kabam needs to give, especially in-game players, more control over the future of their 6-star pools, more mastery points, an easier time to cycle between mastery trees, a huge buff in rewards, uncollected monthly, a chance for Cavalier monthly very soon. And when they do put out new content, it just can't be BS. It's got to be fun. I remember when they first put out Life Transfer and how fun that was, and how if you played aggressive, you actually used the node to a pro player advantage where you healed back up. Stuff like that, it might not make Kabam the most money, but it's fun and it rewards skill. It's the opposite is what happens now, where it's like we're just going to degenerate the heck out of you, even when you're fighting well, to where you have to purchase our potions and our revives and units in order to stay on the path. It just feels like you're being mugged in an alley. Well, there you have it, YouTube. Endgame burnout is inevitable. I appreciate you watching, and see, I just want to say this to you. I think protecting your mental health, as somebody who has struggled with anxiety and depression his whole life, and definitely PTSD and always will, that's the most important, and I applaud you for taking a step away. But just know you've made a huge impact on me as a content creator. I would not have my channel without you, and I really appreciate your inspiration, and always will, and hope you continue to make videos for years, because I know my life and my routine would not be as great without your videos either.